Welcome back to the channel. This reaction goes out to, in honor of the day we're having. SonReal, Remember Me for Me, insane visual breakdown. And instead of taking my own path, I'm just going to do what I was asked to do. So let's check this out, and we'll go from there.
We've got the 3D head here, and then just like start separating out parts of the head.
This is insane. I showed my mom this video. She's like, how did you do it? Maybe I'll just show her this video when it's out. Hey, it's SonReal, and I'm going to be breaking down the visual effects for Remember Me for Me featuring Lily Moore. We were going to potentially just do a live video for it or something, and I called Sterling and I was like, hey man, I don't know if we're going to shoot this video. And Sterling's like, you gotta trust me. I really believe in this concept. As soon as I looked at the treatment, I was like, we gotta do this.
I've always been a fan of surrealist art and painting, and especially like Salvador Dali. Everyone's a fan of Salvador Dali. Pretty dope work all around. And then I started like just looking at paintings, and it's more about the just like feeling you get when you absorb the art. And then if you want, you can start looking into the details and stuff. And I felt very similar about just the track when I first heard it.
A lot of the scenes are like pulled directly from early 20th century surrealist paintings. But it's all kind of came from the core concept of feeling your self-identity, not feeling fully meshed with how you feel you are, with how you're perceived.
This is the nesting shot. We knew from the very beginning that this was going to be the toughest shot in the whole video. I wanted an image that would feel hollow, and then I found this one reference image that was like just so stunning, and then I wanted to add some motion element to it, so I thought of it like almost like a Russian nesting doll coming out in layers. I was like, how do we do this shot? Photo scan was like the first thing Benner said.
Doing a photo scan of Aaron's head, that was crucial to getting this done.
This is amazing. Work by the artists, and because I believe I've mentioned enough on the channel that, and I don't even do thumbnails. Ange asked me. I'll answer it first because I'm goofy how I do things. I was supposed to be talking about something else, and then I just change in the middle of what I'm saying. I do this all the time. I'm going to take the super high road in this reaction because I'm a graphic design school graduate who refuses to even put effort into his own thumbnails. My initial takeaway will be my only, hopefully not offensive statement, but is a byproduct of the people who produce the video. Their idea, their visions. In the channel, I've mentioned how usually symbols, most of it comes from other people's ideas, and the artists tend to agree to go along with it. And then the thing is, it's funny, I'll have to put a bonus somewhere because I'm currently watching a scandal where they paid an artist to produce photos and the messaging was pretty darn clear. So I tend to worry when they're not reproducing my image or my idea, or they're reproducing their own in my stead. No hate.
We've got the 3D head here, and then essentially what I did was try to line it up as well as I possibly could with our on-set footage that you guys shot. And then it was basically a matter of taking this 3D version of your head and like just starting to kind of chop it up in these different patterns and creating all of these different layers, what kind of shapes match to this reference image that we have, select all these different pieces, and then just like start separating out parts of the head.
I'm literally like, didn't I perform that though? Like, he's running off a model, so he mixed the model with my performance.
To like keep your actual like vocal performance in there, we had to keep that plate, project that onto the geometry that was animating.
Oh, yeah, and then here's why I'm difficult. So that, I almost think we can track that back to one of my like weird trivia things. I think it was Total Recall. And one of the craziest, hardest scenes to produce at the time was that train shooting off into the model, but live footage in it that tracked back and got smaller and smaller as it went. But same exact concept from whatever date that came out. to the updated version of that idea now, and it comes full circle. I guess there is no bonus. This is perfect for me. I'm glad we started here because it reiterates, it's a big exclamation point to the whole, one of the points I try to make all the time is where the ideas come from, and that ideas usually are, well, this moment alone shows me that the idea is a byproduct of computer technology, where the standards of the day and ideas that come from your great grandfathers or later's generation. So it's like, wow, crazy. I wonder what SonReal thinks the song's about, because now I definitely don't want to see the video.
Because your like upper lip was moving up and down, that line had to be tracked onto where.
Yeah, hey, look up them removing Superman's mustache. If this part's interesting for you, go and look at how they did remove his mustache, because he was in Mission Impossible at the same time. It's amazing what they can do nowadays with technology.
Had to be tracked onto where your mouth was actually moving.
That shot blew me away. Like, I didn't really have to think about, oh, is this a model with this and stuff, but now you saying that, it's like, that's crazy. I never thought about it. I was like, man, this guy just like is chopping my head up.
The second shot we're looking at is our big blue room shot, essentially the opening shot of the whole video. But I remember like wanting something kind of like 1984 Big Brother-y, and I stumbled across this like 1970s illustration. It was a blue room with a giant eye and ear, and it just was like so striking to me.
Wow.
And I was like,
why? Now, what I'd really like to have him explain to me is why it would like, ooh, and aren't those wireless earphones really bad for the big C? Oh yeah, no, I don't know. That's scary. I wish he'd explain why he wants an image from 1984. See, this is where people don't like some things that this channel does, because I need to know if we're indicting or endorsing. And then the irony of this moment is one eye and checkerboard floor all reeks of the huge conspiracy theory. Tinfoil hat stuff I enjoy engaging in. I don't say I believe it. I'm not saying this is some Masonic symbol. Now, I hit another table right there with two pillars in this picture. I'd have to say, yeah, it's some Masonic influence in the framing.
At is our big blue room shot, essentially the opening shot of the whole video. But I remember like wanting something kind of like 1984 Big Brother-y, and I stumbled across this like 1970s illustration. It was a blue room with a giant eye and ear, and it just was like so striking to me, and I was like, that's perfect.
First thing I did was taking this super close-up footage of your eye here.
It's creepy. I want to know where that image comes from, because as I look at the image he's inspired by, it looks like the eyes and ears, the walls have eyes and ears. But the weirdness is like the image is not even, he just reproduced that image for the opening shot almost to the, damn, almost to the T. And this is why I made such a big deal about Children of Men, because rarely do they put together a package that is so utterly, it stands alone. Other people will try to achieve it. It is not trying to achieve what other people have done, which is amazing to me.
Making it all blue, warping it out, different weird reflections, like the wall's almost like this like plasticky liquid, until you eventually get this eye that's a part of the wall while it's also like distorting the wall and blinking. This was like the first look. It just didn't have as much impact, but once it was like the whole wall, I think that's when it started.
Because there's the difference between a B film and a feature film, and the difference between making or breaking your investors, because, you know, the one the B-fan films are going to love it anyways. They see the eye in the wall. The rest of us need the detail, like the earring in that shot, and the hairs, the incredibly creepy hairs. There's one hairy ear.
Started to click, and then we basically took it from there to the final image.
The way you're removing things and adding things, all that kind of stuff, like that's what we do with music. Lots of the time, the version that everyone hears of a song is my 67th version of the song. It emotes a feeling, like, you know, you can emote a feeling that's bigger than life with VFX.
Aaron has a track on the album called 92 Jetta, but he kind of like wanted
that. Excuse me a moment. I gotta go back. What was it? What was that now?
Aaron has a track on the album called 92 Jetta, but he kind of like wanted to bring that visual element in somewhere in this video. So he was like, if there's any way to fit like a Jetta into it, that'd be great. This image just kind of came to mind. We can't buy a car and like string it up. That was just out of the realm of possibilities. But one thing we could do, in which like Fenner and I talked about, was like, you know, getting those headlights to be practical, and we ended up just like throwing it on a pipe, mounting those two lights, and sending it up to the ceiling with rope.
The starting process of that was finding the 92 Jetta with this full like 3D model of the Jetta that we were.
Now I can heap some praise instead of complaining. Oh, Lord. It does get complicated in my world. This is kind of, I talk about this all the time. Now, here's going the extra distance. Using your at the day next level, whatever your best level effects, After Effects are, plus a practical effect. Genius, and incredibly good. I still... yeah, checkerboard is a rough one for me. But, you know, I mean, it's different tastes for different people. I'm not much for, you know, all kinds of things, but it doesn't make it not okay. I mean, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. It is different, subjective nature of it all.
Able to kind of position and place wherever we wanted in 3D space. So by having those, you know, practical lights that you were staring up at, it just helped have that actual lighting in the scene that you can see here. Probably doesn't look all that real, but then how do we then add in all the reflections, the kind of different flooring, a little bit of interior lighting, the headlights, you know, sit it in that world of the music video.
That 92 Jetta with the high beams going into my face at the end of the video, like my first song I ever recorded, first thing I did is I went out to my 92 Jetta. I was 16 years old and I played it in that 92 Jetta. Just adding in the dust and the lights of the 92 Jetta and everything, it's really cool to see it, man.
I didn't even know that going into it, so I'm really stoked that like it does service to that for you, man.
When I write a song, I have all these ideas, and you get someone like Sterling coming to me with these really ambiguous ideas that you honestly don't even think are possible, and visual effects have made that possible for me. It's an instrument. Without the visual effects, this is a completely different video. It's gonna make people feel something totally different. That's the magic for me.
Oh, that's too bad. All right, well, that's cool. This was awesome. I'm gonna take the pass, or I would listen to the song by itself. But that's enough knowledge to actually know I've said enough since I've been doing this. That then, see, here's the difference. Cool, each to their own, but I don't want that visual message. The problem is I want a new idea. Most surrealism tracks back to a place I don't want to deal with, so it's like I'm not even going there no more, because I didn't know, right? Because at first it's like, hey, surrealism's cool, and then when the world that it hides, the things you barely see or notice, but they're there, and they're the stronger indicator of what reality is, not the surface confusion. And I'll revert back to the controversial lawsuit that's coming out right now from the fashion company that's going to have to go after the photographer and say that this entire world is incredibly gray for me. And unless I completely know, like the last song or the target practice song, that there are certain things I would be cautious, right? Because I'm not sure that messaging's for me. Could be for others. Now, I'm curious what the song is by itself, but not the video. So, we'll figure it out. I'm going to move on and keep this one and see what Mike wants to do. We'll go that route. Because this was, well, not quite 20, but it definitely was as real as it gets. I couldn't keep it. I don't know. You got what you got. It is what it is. I did what I did. Later.